Hey babies, and welcome to another episode of Catching Flights. On this one, I take on the beautiful, sexy, magnificent, hot, and happening city of angels, Los Angeles, California. So come on, let's go and explore. So I arrive in the City of Angels and taking everything in, I obviously notice how it's such a huge space. It's very vast. You know, the urban density of Los Angeles is quite apparent. It's quite a busy city. The only difference between it and New York City is that Los Angeles is a bit more spread out than New York City, but other than that, you know, there's a lot going on in both places. So yeah, that immediately kind of shot my energy levels up and I was ready to take on the space. My hotel actually wasn't far from the airport. I purposefully sort of done that because ride sharing to a hotel that's like on the other side of town may cost you an arm and a leg and everything in between. So I was like, you stay at a place that's pretty close to the airport so that it will be a quick commute to the airport and a quick commute, you know, from the airport. So yeah, it was really nice, a very nice experience, and really actually liked the space, you know, very much a monochrome tone to the space. My initial room that I got into though, I wasn't a big fan of because it was quite loud where I was. It was right next to the restaurant and I was like, this is way too loud, there's just too much hullabaloo happening. So I asked him to change me and I went into a different room, which was definitely further away and much better. But because it's close to the airport though, you could hear, you know, periodic sounds of, you know, planes flying over every now and again. So if that's not your thing, I wouldn't suggest staying at that particular place. But if that's your thing and if you like plane spotting, then it's pretty fun. Didn't do much on the first day in LA, to be honest, because I was actually just kind of tired and just wanted to center myself and, you know, feel good and present and just take some time to just rest, you know, because non-stop for like over a week, you know, sometimes you just need a break. So that's what I needed to do, and so I just decided to stay in the first night, relax, and then there was obviously like a little nearby shopping center, and so I went there to get some dinner. Got Chili's, which is like a chain store, and they actually have quite good Mexican food, which was really nice. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I walked back to my hotel, and yeah, that was the end of day one. Day one really wasn't much going on, but purposefully so because I wanted to sort of save my energy and build my reserves up for the next coming day. So yeah, that's the end of day one. And so day 2 came about, and yeah, I had so much energy in me because I had had a restful sleep, and I was like, let us go and explore the City of Angels, darling. Decided to take a bus to the Hollywood area and also just explore that particular area, and also just to understand how the everyday person in LA actually gets by. And there is obviously public transport, there are buses around, and there's obviously a lot of people driving cars, but the easiest way to get around if you aren't driving per se then is to use like a bus, like one of the metros, the orange buses that go around different stops, millions of stops. So yeah, I just had to take that one, got onto the wrong one, ended up in Compton, darling, and in Compton then took a wrong, because I was supposed to take a bus that's actually going up, like I think I was supposed to be northbound, and I think I took like a westbound. So since I was I took an eastbound bus instead of taking a northbound bus, because I was just trying to figure out the numbers and the bus numbers and which one's going where. So I took an east bus that was going to Compton, so I ended up in Compton, and I needed to get back west and then go back up north or find the nearest stop where the bus is going north. So I got lost there, but I kind of walked around and explored, and people always like, oh my gosh, Compton is so dangerous. I'm just like, well, it's just really another place. I think sometimes, yes, every place has got its pros and cons. That is the truth. And if you're reckless in any place, the most can happen. That is the truth, But I also think it's important to not criminalize or to always paint out environments in which Black people live as dangerous or murky, because that's part of the problem. So I was in Compton, but it was not a bad experience. It's just another space in LA, and I was staying in Inglewood because I was like, I'm going to find the blackest place in the city to stay. And I love staying in spaces where Black people are, because I'm promoting Black businesses and all of that stuff. So if I have a choice in the matter, I'll definitely choose Black always. I ended up in Hollywood and just started exploring the space, I guess in some ways I felt like I was in LA now, because I guess Hollywood, whenever you sort of see little snippets and videos of LA, they often show you that area because that's the tourist attraction, but also the world famous area of LA where all the movies and stuff and the stars stay. So you often see that. So you will feel like you're in LA when you're kind of in the Hollywood area, because that's, if you've never been there, that's what you are shown most of the time. I decided to buy like a tour bus ticket that had like a 2-day, in and out that you could use, because obviously it's quite a long tour. So I was like, and you can sort of tour different segments. It's like 2 different buses that you can hop on, and they sort of run in 2 different loops. So I was like, let me do the one bus the one day and the other one the other day. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get on a tour bus. That's the easiest way to actually get to see this beautiful city and all the different landmarks and things you want to see. So yeah, that was pretty fun. The first stop we stopped at was the Chinese Theatre, and that was also really like an iconic landmark and interesting. So many people just walking around there because they like also stars on the ground and lots of exploration, and it was just really chaotic. Like, I don't know if LA and Hollywood are always just that inundated with tourists and foreigners and all of that stuff, but it was actually it reminded me of Times Square in some way, how if you just go into Times Square, a lot of the people who are just standing around and walking around are all different tourists from different places, because people who live in New York City, I would imagine, are quite familiar with Times Square and have been there, and maybe do come there every now and again, but the vast majority of people walking around you can see are tourists. So that when you were walking in Hollywood, you would see it's kind of the same feeling as being in Times Square. So that was very interesting and very lots going on. So the tour proceeded, and we got to see many different cool areas and spaces. I ended up getting off at the Beverly Grove and the farmers market, which was so nice, and really enjoyed that space. If you know me, you know I'm a farmers market girly, and I just love being in a space where there's just fresh food and there's fresh air and there's this, there's the sun and some good energy, good views. I could feel that this is kind of a place I'm really comfortable, so I just bought some lunch and just chilled, and the time just wiled itself away, and before you know it, that was kind of my last stop for the day. The next day came about and went on another tour and still explored, went to different places this time. Got to go to Beverly Hills, took some pictures there, got to go to Santa Monica, and just went to the beach and relaxed and took everything in. And yeah, just exploring the general, parts and, different areas of LA and just taking it in. For me, it was also just the weather, the vibe, and the atmosphere. That was just so enjoyable. So yeah, really, really nice. Got to, obviously soak my feet in Santa Monica, and also went to the Warner Brothers studios, which was actually very nice because I'd always wanted to go, and got to visit many different sets, got to visit the Friends set, Harry Potter. So it was really nice. It was really nice. Enjoyed myself at Warner Brothers studios, and also again felt like an environment. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Like, this is perfect. It's nice. I enjoy being here, and it's all the way in Burbank, which is, I guess, within the valley, like in the north of Hollywood. In the evening, there was like a wrestling game. I decided to go to the wrestling game and just enjoy that and have some fun. I've never been to a wrestling game, so I was curious about who the wrestlers were now, like who are the people who are still in wrestling, and what the atmosphere would be. And it was a very interesting atmosphere. The people who were in attendance were very passionate about the wrestling, It was actually quite a Hispanic crowd in general, and even quite a lot of the wrestlers were some Hispanic, and you could see obviously that there's quite a huge population of Hispanic people within LA, which is obviously interesting to see because that's quite similar to Houston. So I feel like in that way they were very similar in terms of energy, and the types of, I guess, minorities that are within those spaces. So it was really nice to see and really enjoyable. Didn't recognize any one of the fighters or the athletes, because it was the times I used to watch wrestling was like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kane, John Cena, The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, those people, that era. I feel like that was the golden era of wrestling anyway, to be honest. But that was the era that I used to watch it in, and it was so good. So I just did not recognize the people who were within that, but still it was quite a, interesting atmosphere, and I'm glad I got to go. So yeah, so that was the end of this day, and yeah, going into the next day. And before you know it, it's the next day, and it's actually New Year's Eve. So this is the 31 December 2023. Yeah, it's the next day, and I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, so much has happened in 2023. We made it, and let's enjoy this New Year's Eve. Let's do the most and enjoy and have fun, you know? And so that's what I did. I decided to go to a Broadway-like, theater. It's called the Pantages Theater in Hollywood, and decided to watch the Michael Jackson musical. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made. It was so much fun. The talent, the actors were so good. The choreography was so good, and it was just a beautiful memory and a beautiful, tribute in essence to Michael Jackson, the art that was Michael Jackson, and him being the king of pop and all of the work that came into him being the person that he became. Got some really good seats, and for not the price that you would get them in New York City, because if you want to get like floor seats in, Broadway, if you want to get floor seats in Broadway, that's going to cost you a little bit, it's going to cost you quite a bit. So it was different, but I feel like this experience and the talent was quite similar. So really, really good. And I decided to go to the Griffith Observatory because I was like, wow, this is the end of the year. Let's go see the sunset and, let it be magical. It was very, very packed, but it was such a beautiful day. And really, I couldn't have asked to spend the last day of the year better, by going to one of the highest points in Los Angeles and seeing the sunset for the last time in 2023 in that year. It was absolutely beautiful to see, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I'm glad I did that. It was very spiritual, to be honest. It just felt right. It felt special, and it really was the moment. Before you know it, it's now the evening of New Year's Eve, darling, 31 December, and we were like, let us groove, friend. Let us go out and do the most and have a good old time and just absolutely give the people what they want and what we want. And so that's exactly what we did. So got back, got my Wingstop, because I love Wingstop. Like, I love wings, darling, and Wingstop is like all for me. So I got my Wingstop, pre-drank, and just enjoyed myself and went out to Andaz, darling, Andaz, West Hollywood, because there was like a rooftop party there happening, and I was like, what, let me actually enjoy myself and thoroughly just be within the moment. And ringing the new year, so like the party was so cute, wasn't too packed, it was kind of grown and sexy and stuff, but it was really great energy, and the rooftop was kind of alight, and we could see all the fireworks in downtown and obviously throughout LA. This was interesting also, the moment I really fell in love with Water by Tyler. That song was playing towards around, I guess it was around-ish midnight and or just before, but it played that night in a way that was so different. I fell in love with that song. It almost felt like I was preempting what was about to happen in that year, because about a month or so later she won the Grammy and her life just kind of steamrolled into the success machine. But it's almost like I could feel that happening in that moment, in that New Year's Eve moment, New Year's moment, because when I listened to that song, there was something different about it that captured me in a way that I was like, this is a big song, this is a hit song. And I'd heard it before, right? I wasn't new to it. I'd heard it before, but it was almost annoying until that point. And then when I heard it in that moment, maybe it was just how I heard it, like through the speakers that were playing, and whatever it was opportune, it was beautiful, and I just knew that there was some magic and absolute iconicness to the song and to what's going to happen to it, the success of it. And I was right, obviously, because 2024 was literally vast for Tyler. It was absolutely amazing. So it was a very special moment. Absolutely enjoyed New Year's and New Year's Eve. And so it is 1 January 2024, darling. Happy! And it's the next day, and I normally am not the person to do anything on New Year's Day, because I'm always just like sleeping in, trying to nurse a hangover, whatever. But no, that wasn't me, because your girl is not like that. It's not reckless with liquor like that, you know. So thoroughly was energized, even though I slept late because obviously it's New Year's. But I was determined to get onto this cruise that I booked because I was like, let me go on a New Year's cruise or brunch cruise, because what better way to start the year, darling, you know, and take advantage of the LA weather, which wasn't that great up until that point, to be honest, because they said that day would be quite sunny. So I was like, I need to do something that's going to be outside and enjoyable, you know. And yeah, of course, there was still sunshine, you know, in between the other days, but there was a bit of, you know, overcast energy as well. But still a beautiful day, still a beautiful time. So I got to the cruise, and it was a brunch cruise, obviously. Bottomless mimosas, that's always like my draw card. Give me bottomless mimosas, give me some breakfast, give me some great views, you know, give me some great energy, and you have a groove. And that's exactly what it was. It was so beautiful, so stunning. It was the perfect day to have this cruise. And then I went to Long Beach, subsequent to that, just went to Long Beach just to have a stroll around and just to see the atmosphere, the vibe there. And it really actually reminds me of Camps Bay, you know, Long Beach, because of all the houses close to the ocean and just the sort of laid back energy and nature of it. Santa Monica Beach was a lot more, I'd say, dirtier in some way than Long Beach. Long Beach just looked prettier and more lush and yeah, very much more tranquil, you know. And yeah, really absolutely took everything in. That was also quite a good moment to have, just to walk around that space in that afternoon and just take in the vastness of the ocean and the moment and collect your thoughts. So it was definitely a lot of eat, praying and loving in that moment and in those activities. And yeah, I decided to continue exploring the area, because obviously this was my last day in LA at that time. And went to the dunes, which is basically the set of where Insecure is shot, you know, where Issa Rae lives and on the show. Absolutely loved it. And I was just it was kind of eerie, because I'm like, well, I'm on set. I feel like the people who live there know that tourists come there often, because when I was holding my camera, some of them, I think one of them offered, or I think I asked one of them, hey, can you take a picture of me? And it wasn't something weird, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they offered, or I asked, but it looked like something they do all the time, because I think people just come there and take pictures and go, you know, because hey, it's part of the culture. Yeah, so that was about it, and what I got up to in the City of Angels. And key takeaway, definitely, what a beautiful space, great weather. I know I was obviously there in the winter, but it didn't really feel like winter. It was just very temperate and great energy. And obviously I know that I'll be back here because it really felt like home. Anyway, babies, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catching Flights, and please share, comment and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram at BigBunEntertainment_. And I'll see you again on the next episode. And remember, always catch flights, not feelings.